Good afternoon and welcome to Fur, Fins, and Feathers. Before we start our show this week, I would like to thank you all for your overwhelming support and generosity. The show is taking off very well and we have become, many people are listening to the show and it's very rewarding, and we're planning to do many shows and learn about the intriguing animal kingdom. Today, our special guest is a good friend of mine, Bob Schenck, owner of Animal Instincts in Fall River, and a well-known and very intelligent animal enthusiast. Bob, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Tell us about the store. How long have you had this store?
I opened on November 30, 1990, and we've been plugging along ever since and growing. We filled every nook and cranny of our facility, as well as an entire 3-bedroom, double parlor, first floor apartment. The only thing we haven't done is move to the second or third floor yet of the 3 tenement, but we're hanging on and we're doing pretty good. And it's been quite a ride and quite an adventure and a lot of fun.
And you've met fascinating people from all walks of life.
Yeah, amazing. I've developed some incredible friendships with some great people, such as yourself and your brother. And we've done amazing setups and have through our hands and through our facility, we've had the privilege of being in contact with amazing animals and put them with the right people and the right families, and I really don't think there's too many things more rewarding than that. At the end of the day, when you know you've put the right pieces of the puzzle together and that new addition to someone's family, couldn't have it any better, and they couldn't be any happier, you've done your job. And that's part of our mission statement and part of our motto. And we strive to do that on a daily basis. And we have for almost 30 years. November 30, we're going to be having one heck of a birthday party for us.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you start with in animals? How did you develop a love and interest in animals?
I would say it's probably started, as a child. Falling in the Quikasham River to catch snapping turtles, much to my parents' dislike. Carrying the snapping turtle up Plymouth Avenue with leeches stuck on my feet and my legs. Didn't matter. I caught the turtle and it was amazing. Of course, everything I caught I had to release. I've got some great stories. One day we'll share those
I'm
as
sure
well.
You have many.
But from there I went on to Bristol Aggie, which I absolutely love. Part of the alumni there, and I can't say enough good things about Bristol Aggie.
It's a wonderful school.
It's fantastic. They've inspired me and made me who I am today, without question. From Bristol Aggie, I went to Stockbridge School of Agriculture to a 2-year program for arboriculture and park management. I minored in landscape architecture, and then from there I moved on to the 4-year program at Amherst. Graduated, became a Massachusetts certified arborist. I ran a tree company, but my passion was always the natural environment. I've always kind of considered myself an environmentalist, self-proclaimed, really about, keeping things the way they are without interrupting, observing from a distance, but not
and appreciating
fiddling.
The natural world.
Oh, absolutely. And and it just one thing led to another. Ran a tree company for a while, and I was working hard. I was working 7 days a week, but it wasn't what I felt that I should be doing. And being an advanced hobbyist and living in the Springfield area back then, couldn't quite find a store that offered everything. I really wasn't into necessarily the puppies and kittens and dogs and cat world, but the reptiles, the small animals, the tropical fish, the salt water, the birds, the avian world, I had to go to so many different places to fill my wants to be able to, interact and acquire all these things. And I did that and finally realized that there was no one that offered exactly what I was looking for. And that was part of the reason I came back to Fall River, was because I knew the community would appreciate that, and it would be good for them, and I thought it would be good for me. I thought that financially I would be in a different place. But you know what? It's not about, at the end of the day, it's not about the dollar. I mean, of course, we got to pay the bills. But if you can look yourself in the mirror and you know that you've done something good, maybe not intensely on a daily basis, but I can tell you by the end of a year, we've capitalized on doing the right thing time and time again, and I think that integrity shines through. We have no advertising budget. We're a small retail, family-operated mom and pop shop. We're brick and mortar. There's not many of us left. They're dropping like flies. But we're hanging on, and I really think that's our driving force.
But throughout your career, you have been in Fall River. You've been embraced and by the community.
Oh, I love Fall River.
And very supportive.
Yeah, oh yeah, my gosh.
And you have done a great deal of wonderful, countless wonderful things to support a variety of organizations in the community.
Oh,
that extends beyond animals.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely reach out to the community. I mean, I certainly believe in giving back. If there's ever a need, we always try to fill it. We try to stay in this world of animals, but I mean, we've collected food and clothing, and we've worked with folks that have had fires, and we keep it quiet what we do, but we help them retrieve and get back to where they were, because some people are very passionate about simple things. I mean, it could be as small as a hamster, or other people, it could have been a snake that they've gone through some traumatic experience, and it's possibly a fire, and they've had a loss of their pet, and we've quietly and anonymously step up to the plate and fill that. But we've done a lot of other things as well too. But
wonderful countless number of organizations you have helped over the years.
Yeah, we've been pretty connected. I mean, right now we're really buckling down, and in the heyday, I mean, I would say we probably have employed 17 employees, I think, on our greatest time. And right now we've unfortunately just cut our staff back again, just to try to make the numbers work. And my wife and I are back there, 6 days a week.
Working very hard.
And we certainly are. We have a crew that goes in at 5 a.m. to do feed, water, and clean. I join them with that, and then I follow through with the rest of my day. And then my wife comes in the afternoons and works till closing. Our remaining staff, we have 4 employees. They are worth their weight in gold. We love them, and we couldn't do it without them. That's for certain. But I am not free like I used to be able to, I used to call it my soft retirement, but it was really, I was able to step away from the business and work with the community and do a lot of other things, like being able to be here at this show today. I absolutely would never miss this opportunity to do this with you. But we had to get someone to cover for me because I was supposed to still be on the sales floor.
And we appreciate your sacrifice.
Thank you.
We've been good friends for many years.
That's for certain.
With the holidays coming up, and we don't, and I look back in a lot of the publications that kennel clubs and dog-related and cat-related organizations have promoted, that tell us that over the years that maybe animals should not be given for Christmas.
Okay, well
Could you address that topic?
I'd be glad to.
Companion animals as well.
Well, that's an interesting term because certainly a term of endearment for as wide a variety as all of us are, so are animals. And I do have to say that being on a front line, I guess you could say, and being with the clients and finding the right fit for them. Someone may come in and decide that they want a particular type of lizard, and we gently redirect them to something else because maybe it might not be a good fit. And maybe something might fit their personality and their work schedule better, or depending on how busy the household is, if there's a half a dozen kids running around, then something that doesn't like the noise or all the activity certainly wouldn't be recommended, and that could have been what they were looking for. But the companion animal thing, just to stick with that for a minute, is kind of funny because I just had this conversation with a client. I brought a few friends with us today, some of our ambassadors. Now, the things that I brought with me, I will never be able to squeeze them all in because I often bring
So
too
you'll be coming
many.
back for a second show.
I'd be glad to. I'd be glad to. But it's funny because we are a full-line retail pet store, and we do not sell dogs and cats, but we sell everything else, and we sell all the supplies to go with them. But realistically, like, we are an exotic animal shelter. I mean, we have something dropped off every single day of the week, and we're not a dog
Why
and
is
cat.
that, Bob?
It's, you know, I would say probably 75 to maybe 85% of the animals that are surrendered to us didn't come from us, but they were sold through a large business, a large corporation that is just pumping stuff out there. And they're not taking
A big box store.
well, the big box is definitely the major contributor to this. And you know what's so funny is that a lot of times people will bring an animal in, and you do become attached to, no matter what you get, because you wouldn't have got an animal in the first time if you weren't compassionate. But now you have this animal that isn't the right fit, you know it's not, and you feel terrible that you want to give it up. Well, the problem that I see with that is a lot of folks, it takes a while to get to that point where they finally take that animal and they bring it in the cage, and they're totally traumatized that they're dropping this thing off, but they waited for so long that a lot of time now the animal is compromised because they knew they had to get rid of it because they didn't have the correct amount of time to take care of it properly.
Or money or resources.
Right, or time to be able
time.
to socialize with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, like some of the animals we have here today, if you have an animal that you can't pick up and interact with, all right, well, I have one that you can't pick up, but if you can't interact with it and it doesn't do something for you, like a companion animal, socially, emotionally, and I have clients that come into our store that have an aquatic reptile, like we have here today. And one in particular, and this super nice lady, allowed me to borrow hers. So obviously she knows that I'm going to take care of one of her best buddies. But the day that one of her aquatic reptiles passes away, she will take a week off from work. And she's going to be traumatized because she loves these things. And so do a lot of other people. So it's not always just a dog or a cat or a bunny or a guinea pig. All the rest of the animals that are, you know, domestically bred that are available. I mean, a lot of our stuff comes from private breeders and smaller breeding facilities, but we don't buy from the same places that the big box buys from because they're buying so cheap. If we wanted to make a buck, and that's all we cared about, that would be the place we would buy from because they are so inbred and so improperly cared for that they're susceptible to everything. They're weak. The stuff that we get is shipped in from overseas. It's selectively bred. It's strong. It's solid, especially in aquatics department. But same thing for reptiles, all the way across the board. And they could never buy like we do because they don't have the time to spend on the phone. They could never pay somebody to do what we do and walk through the list and talk or go and hand pick. It's just not that type of a place. They're made to make the buck, and we're made to make the permanent home connection, and that's what we do.
So, for a family that would like to have maybe a young person, or even for an elderly person who would like to have a companion animal.
Okay.
Is a gift certificate appropriate?
Oh,
And some
fantastic.
literature, and let the person select the pet and come and visit the store and meet with you and your staff.
Absolutely.
And pick out the right animal for them.
I love it. There couldn't be anything better. That would be a great way to be able to do it. I mean, if there's an issue with bringing someone in and it's difficult for them to get to the store, you know, with enough details and enough conversation, you can almost feel it and pick the right thing. But a lot of people need, like I do, so I do these educational shows. I mean, I also do them for birthday parties.
And education is very important. It's key, isn't it?
It's everything. And when you go through the gamut of what's available and how much care is required, how much husbandry is required to feed, water, and clean, and then interact with that specimen, once you're done with that, you know, maybe this isn't such a good pet. What else is available? And eventually, when you meander your way around through all the departments, you're going to key in on one particular area. It might be small animals, and if it is, it might not be a rabbit, it might not be a guinea pig, it might be a chinchilla, it might be a hedgehog, it might be a ferret. Would you like to see?
This is like a trade show. I want to see them all.
So, I have a little variety of a few different guys with us today. Some of them are rescues, some of them are surrenders. We do have Fish and Wildlife. Animal Control drops things off to us.
Now, who is this guy?
So his name is Midnight, and this is a chinchilla.
How old is Midnight?
He's about 6 now. So he's a little older. He's still got a long way to go. An animal native to the Andes. He's hypoallergenic, so you can't be allergic to him. You'd have to be allergic to your own hair. His fur is super, super thick. The government had protected them. It was illegal to collect them for the fur trade. So they were bred throughout the United States. There was a gentleman here in the city, a locksmith, that had hundreds of them at one time. But he was raising them for the fur trade, not for pet quality. So we have had a connection for years in Pennsylvania that bred for pet quality only. And that's where almost all of our chinchillas came from.
Now, was this a rescue animal?
This was a surrender.
Okay.
So this one was not a rescue. This was dropped off to us because they just couldn't take him anymore. They couldn't take care of him properly. But he has a bunch of friends that he spends time with. And it just so happens that, well, we have another one that's not here today. And he was a rescue, and that's Tripod. He has 3 arms. He's missing one. It was a lot of surgery and a lot of work, but he's fantastic. He's great company for all the rest of them. And what we have is we have a unique ability where these are not for sale. These are but they are in their permanent home with us. I love them. My wife loves them. The staff loves them. And we spend a lot of time with them, and we care for them extremely well. They're super spoiled. You can tell he's extremely socialized. We can put him here, and you can pet him. He loves to be petted. They have...
He's a handsome little character.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Very nice.
They make great pets. They have an average of 20 hairs per follicle. We have one, so the fur is super, super dense. In fact, it's so dense they're flea resistant. What else can I tell you about them? If you have a house that tends to overheat, this might not be a good pet. So as you learn about them and you get educated about them, you realize if you don't have a cool basement or an air-conditioned room in a house, or a house that's air-conditioned, then a chinchilla might not be the pet for you, because imagine wearing this thick fur coat and it's 80 degrees out. Well, a chinchilla can overheat very easily, and it's tough for them to recover from that. So what we do is we make sure that the environment that they're going to will be able to accommodate all of their requirements. But they're simple, they're easy. Another animal I brought with me today is the opposite end of the coin of the chinchilla. And chinchilla has, I would say, probably 2 to 3 weeks before there's any odor to a chinchilla's cage. The diet is very bland.
Now, can he stay with me?
Yeah, he'll just sit around. Yeah,
all
you
right.
can pick him right up, put him on your shoulder.
You can stay here and visit.
Yeah, put
All
him
right,
with
let
you.
him.
No, just put him right on you, Brian. Come on, you're okay. He'll love you. So I want to show you somebody that's kind of on the other
The
side.
opposite.
The other side of the coin. So here we have,
Hello there.
so that's Midnight. This is Slinky.
And what is Slinky?
Slinky's a ferret,
Okay.
and ferrets are now legal to possess in Massachusetts. They were illegal at one time. They became illegal and have been illegal for a long time. And now they finally have re-released them for sale. And now it's been years. And we probably in the heyday when the ferrets were hot, we were probably selling 2 or 3 a week. And generally kits, babies that are teething. So that's the only time a ferret generally ever bites is when they're growing new teeth. But this diet is so fortified compared to the chinchilla that what goes in strong on a ferret also comes out strong. So if you're familiar with a cat and you have a litter box, then you're familiar with all the care that goes into taking care of a cat. Well, imagine the cat litter box being maybe 2 times as strong as it normally would be. That's a ferret.
They are very odoriferous.
That's for sure. So they are altered so they cannot reproduce to be legal in Massachusetts. But at the same time, they also remove their scent glands. So a ferret could normally spray similar to what a skunk would do. So he's relieved of all of that.
Now the ferret is a native of what country?
The ferrets are,
Or what area?
well, I can tell you that they are probably throughout the United States, but I can tell you that a related species of these is actually carved on the Great Pyramids of Egypt with leashes and harnesses. So that gives you an idea how long.
So they've been around a while.
That's why they have no inherent fear of us, is because they've been pets. But you can pet him too and see what he feels like.
Very interesting. Totally different.
Totally different.
Coat texture.
That's for sure. So these guys are oily. They have an oily fur. They tend to be somewhat wiry. They make great companions for cats. Almost all cats. They would play with a cat and jump around. If a cat was aggressive, the ferret's fur is so thick. I mean, if you were going to pick up a ferret and carry him, you would carry him by the nape of the neck. Just to let you know, this guy was, I don't like doing it to him too much because I know it's okay, but this guy was a rescue. He was abandoned in an apartment. I can tell you he was paper thin for about 3 months. It's taken quite a while. He's got the bill of health from the vet, but regardless, he stays with us. He has a friend that he plays with, but he doesn't interact with other animals, especially birds, because the instinct for them to hunt is definitely there. So if we were to put a mouse down in here and we let the mouse go, and if you saw where the mouse went and the mouse snuck underneath the door, and this ferret caught the scent, he could follow that mouse all the way through this building and all the way out the front door. So they have an incredible sense of smell. And they're also escape artists. If he can fit his front of his head into a little tiny hole or a crevice around a wall in a pipe, he's up in a wall, he's up in the attic, down in the basement. They're tough to catch. So this guy's a little older. He's been through the ringer. He's had a lot happen to him, but he's a good guy.
Who else do you have today in your wonderful menagerie?
Well, I do have something that's unusual. And the thing that's the most unusual when you talk about, say, companion pets would be this guy. And I don't know if you guys are able to see that or not, but this is called an axolotl. And he's a fully aquatic salamander. He'll never change. He stays aquatic. And he lives this way his entire life. The interesting thing is, if you asked us how long he would live, we have no idea. There's an average age to them, but they have a unique ability where if, let's say they were in their natural environment, which is a series of lakes in Mexico, They were thought to be extinct in the wild. I believe this species will never go extinct because there are laboratories all over the world studying these, as well as hobbyists. And when hobbyists have certain species of animals, they help to keep that species alive. So this is domestically bred. They have been domestically bred for years. But let's say he's in a wild environment, in his natural environment, and a fish swims by and bites his arm off. Guess what happens?
Does it grow back?
It does. And not only does his arm grow back, but any part of his body, part of his brain, part of his spine, any of his tissue. And it grows back unscarred. So one day, we'll be able to grow a new finger, and it'll probably be because of the research on these guys.
How expensive it is to purchase a salamander?
I would say an axolotl, probably the average price is probably somewhere around, not out there much, but I would say probably around $50 on the average.
And people can't, now he comes out, does he play with his owner?
They do. So for the kids that are out there watching this, there is a cartoon of a dragon called Toothless. And I've recently been shown that, and it's unbelievable that they look so much like it. This is the albino version, but they also have a variety of these in dark tan, almost a greenish color, and then another one that has a special gene, it's trying to get out, special gene that will actually reflect actinic lighting, so it has a natural bioluminescence.
And how is he cared for?
He stays in a low basin. He needs to stay cooler. So if you had a pet chinchilla and you wanted an aquatic salamander, perfect combination, because they are both would require cooler temperatures.
Well, I'm being told that we are ready to wrap up. This has been fascinating, and we will have you back for another installment.
Wonderful.
Next time on Fur, Fins, and Feathers. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll see you
Happy
soon
Thanksgiving.
with Bob.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Brian.